One coping skill in particular that I kind of developed for myself with my own anxiety, because yes, we as therapists are human too, and we deal with our own stuff. Um, I developed something that I call the worst case scenario scale, and it's specifically for dealing with anxiety. So, trying to go through it pretty quickly. Anxiety is going to get us to focus on the worst case scenario, the worst thing that's going to happen, and then we zero in on that. Using validation, I use the word a lot in my therapy, using validation, we're going to say, okay, yes, that worst case scenario can happen. It's possible, but it's not very likely. It's at the low end of the scale, but we're going to put it on the scale. It could happen. Absolutely. However, if we're going to admit that the worst case scenario is going to happen, we also have to admit that the best case scenario with the anxiety could happen. So, what is the best case scenario? And in using this, I've learned dream big with this. You've got to come up with something outlandish, and that's to help balance how outlandish the worst case scenario is. Okay. So, what is the best case scenario that could happen? Dream big. And they'll kind of sheepishly say, whatever the best case scenario is. I'm like, now you don't believe the best case scenario can happen, do you? They're like, no, I don't. I'm like, okay, but what your brain is starting to do is to fill in everything in between. It's starting to negate what is going to keep the best case scenario from happening, and it's going to fill out all of the things in between.